ist gestartet.
Mhm.
Hi everyone!
Hey, hey.
This is Meow.
And I'm Raul.
This is Aki, our cat. Today, today is our first English video. And personally, because I'm not the person who wants to show our private life on the internet, on the social media, the idea that I want to make the video is that I want to use this as a platform for us to record our life and to build up a more effective or more deep communication. And how about you? Why you accept my suggestion to do this video?
I mean, I think it's like a great idea, just getting out there and
I'm sorry, can you speak a little bit louder because we don't have microphone?
Okay. I think it's like a great idea, just starting like this way of communication, getting to know a bit more ourselves that way, and I guess also like getting out like a bit more about our life to the public, so to say. So yeah, I like this new little experiment, and let's see where it goes.
Yes, and it's also very, very good because we also discussed that our life is from me and from you, the point of view, but we want to also get more information, more output from an external world to see how people the opinion about us, or how people dealing with their problems that we also may have in our life, and something like this, and we also want to share something about us. I'm sorry, it's our cat. He's playing. He wants us to play with him, but actually you will listen this for the whole video. Just keep in mind that we have third person here, our Aki cat. So let's start about this. So let's start the topic today. What's the topic?
We wanted to talk a bit about our trip to China.
Exactly. We are now in Berlin, Germany, but 1 week ago we was in China, and we was in China for like 1 month. And first 2 weeks we visited 3 mega city,
Mega city, big
yes,
cities.
Yes, you have to correct me at any time because my English is not so good, because I speak like German for 6-8 years and I forget about how to do the correct English pronunciation, English grammar. It's your job to do it.
It's my job to do it.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, go back to the topic. We was 2 weeks in visiting like Peking, Shanghai, and Xian, and 2 weeks in my small city where I was grown up in my family. So
yeah, so basically, but like the first 2 weeks were more like a tourist vacation, so to say, having having like this this typical like tourist way about going through the country, visiting like a lot of different landmarks, and yeah, the last 2 weeks were more like the private, like the family life experience. So yeah, it was nice to have basically both types of like visiting another country.
So today's video will be kind of that I'm the interviewer and you are the interviewee, because it was also your first time to visit country as a European. I mean, so we did not do a lot of preparations. We just go random. Maybe it's kind of more free talking video. Okay. Let's go for the first question that I'm curious about is that how was your visiting? How was your travel through China? I mean, Peking is in North China and Shanghai is in South China. So what was the difference? What was your most impressive thing for you as
like the thing that was like most impressive for me on the
Yes, both positive or negative side.
I mean, yeah, like first up, like being like a European, especially like a European, in my case, I have never really left Europe before this trip. So like most of the vacations or trips that I had were like back to my home country of Luxembourg, or like Germany, or like other Croatia. So all these different countries in Europe. So I didn't really have any other experience outside of that beforehand. And going to China was like in that situation like a completely different culture for me to explore.
One one question in between. Were you angry? No. Were you feared of it, of the trip?
If I was afraid of it.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, pretty much, because like it's like for me as a European citizen, it's like visiting another country is not a lot of like stress, honestly, because like European Union has like open borders. We can travel from one country to another without having all that much to do. We don't need a visa. We don't need extra documentation just traveling through Europe. So like going to China was like a bigger like a bigger thing for me, because like I needed a visa, like I needed to like have all these things done beforehand. Like this took like a lot of time for me to prepare, actually.
And you were also a little bit worried about the the bad things that was talked on the Western media.
I mean, yeah, there's always like this bit of like there's this narrative that like China will have a lot of controls of the person that will visit the country. So at the end of the trip, like China will know who I am. They have my fingerprints. They know exactly where I was visiting in China because of like the passport controls. So.
Okay. I'm sorry, I have to interrupt you, because if you talk more about this, our video will be deleted as soon as we upload it and they detect it. So we have to take care about this topic. We don't go deeper and go in a bad way. So there's one thing that I can tell you, that if we don't talk about party, we only do party. That's no problem. Party and party and party. Yes.
But yeah, in general, it was like a thing. Like I was aware that it will be more like a strict like control where I will be, but it wasn't like it wasn't like I feared that all that much. It was just something new. Unusual. It was something new, unusual for me to like experience, I guess.
And the impression?
The impression in general about like the places we visited.
Yes.
I mean, like of course, like there were a lot of landmarks that me as a European I was aware of beforehand. For example, like the Great Wall of China. This was always something that I was aware of, that this exists. But just like experiencing that, like being there in real life, seeing how big it is, how like the wall is stretching across like different mountains, seeing how impressive that is, it was like definitely different from just seeing it online. So I was really like amazed by like the scale of things. And yeah, not only like the Great Wall of China, for example, also like the Forbidden City, seeing like the scale of it, how many people were there, was just something really that I didn't experience before.
Yes, one thing that I have to mention is that the Great Wall that we visited is only, I don't know, maybe 1% or 0.5% of it, because the Great Wall was actually across the whole China. It's also in other province, not only in Peking, other province, in my province, Shanghai Xian, in others. Actually, it's very, very long, but the most of the Great Walls was destroyed or damaged by the natural
conditions.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the thing that I want to add as logo. Okay.
But yeah, besides that, like, I mean, also like Beijing was one thing. After that, we went to Shanghai, which gave me like a different like experience even compared to like Beijing, because like when we arrived in Beijing, like one thing that I noticed immediately was like things like traffic, like people driving on the road, taking like the metro, all was very, very hectic. But then we went to like Shanghai, and I was amazed by it, because like, at least in our experience, I know Shanghai is like a really big city, but at points it didn't feel like that. We were in Shanghai itself, we took like the metro, we were in the traffic, and it was not as bad as I
It
thought.
was very well organized. And,
Yeah, it was well organized. There were no situations where we were like in the metro and there were too many people and we didn't have any place. So this was something I was very amazed by, seeing like how big the city is, but how easy it was to like travel through it.
And Shanghai is also the city where most foreigners are living in China, I guess.
Yeah, so one thing I did during the trip was like I tracked a bit like how many white people as me I would see like just traveling around. And actually, like, I was amazed when we arrived in Beijing. I was like sure that I would see a lot more white people. Not only like people,
Foreigners, and not only white, also other.
yeah, also in general foreigners. But yeah, I assumed like, okay, when we are riding around, we would see like a lot of foreigners that would work in Beijing, and even tourists. But actually, I didn't see all that much of them. Comparing this, like, I think we were like in Beijing like for 4 days and in Shanghai for 3 days. But even like in the shorter amount of time, we saw more foreigners in Shanghai. I guess mainly like tourists. But yeah, it was like,
The only one thing that I can tell you is really because of the black hand control. So there were definitely more foreigners in China before the controls. So, but we don't talk about it. We move on. I'm asking your experience, your opinions, but I also want to tell you something as a local people, that I was also shocked by the conditions, by the living conditions in Peking, where people living very, very central city, but they are living in a very bad, very old buildings. It was built like 100, 200 years ago, and it was kind of protected because it's old ancient building style, and the government didn't want to ruin it and rebuild the new sky layer buildings. So the conditions there, even if they are living in the most expensive building, but also the worst condition building, I would say, because the public toilet is very dirty for me, and you don't have the separate cabin to do your thing.
yeah, you don't have like private space.
Yes, and you can also see how the wild grass grown near the buildings, and the rubbishes living
thrown into the street.
Yes, and how narrow space they have to live in this small old building. I mean, they have the choice that they can sell this small bad building and to buy a house and buy a villa. I don't know how to call it in English, villa.
Like a mansion.
Yes, you can buy a mansion to sell selling this building, but they don't want to do it. They want to be a Pekinger, and they want to living in the center, actually center of center in Peking. So it's kind of for me like a cultural shock. I don't think people pay more attention on their living condition, but more attention on, okay, this is my social status. I'm a Pekinger, I'm in a center, I'm on the top of the world, kind of this thing. So yes, I was impressed by this thing in Peking.
I mean, yeah, for me in general, like it's a really interesting thing for me because like I come from Luxembourg. Now we live in Germany, but I come from Luxembourg, and it's like this very small country, which is still like very rich all over. And like for my living conditions in Luxembourg, I grew up like in this bigger house, like this big house that was like separated from the other bigger houses in our street. So yeah, I would say I grew up like in definitely like richer conditions, and like seeing like these, yeah, let's call them like poor conditions in some sections of Beijing like really struck me, especially I think you mentioned to me like if they would buy it, if they would sell it, that they would gain a lot of money out of it, but it doesn't necessarily, from my point of view, it didn't really feel like that would be the case, because like so we went through one of the streets and we saw like this like public toilet where people use the public toilet because they may have no toilet in their own house. And just thinking about that didn't seem to me like a point where we could say like, oh hey, if they sell this house, they would gain like a lot of money from it. Yeah, especially for me, like thinking about like, hey, if I would sell my house in Luxembourg, we would get like a lot of money for that because it's like a good housing condition there. So yeah, that was like a interesting
and in
contrast.
this way, you are not a Pekinger, you are Luxembourger. Okay, anyways, yeah. Okay, so we are talking about Peking, Shanghai. Anything to add to these two countries?
Cities, you mean?
Cities, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, like, just from just like from the position where I would like to live, if I had the choice, like between Beijing and Shanghai, I really have to say I like Shanghai a lot more than Beijing, especially like, at least in the parts where we were in Shanghai. It felt like a lot more modern city, like a cleaner city, like newer buildings, of course, like these big skylines with all those different lights at the river near Shanghai was like really cool to see, and it felt more like a city that I wanted to live in, at least. So
actually, I did not tell you because we visited my best friend in Shanghai, and we walked we walked along the river, the Huangpu River in Shanghai, where the most tourists will visit. She told me that this is really for sad things. This is really for tourists. The light, the modern buildings and the wet streets and so on. And for the local, for my friend, she will not visit this kind of area. She will live in her own area, and that's enough for her because there are a lot of shopping centers, a lot of things that she need. She can get it very closely. So actually, Shanghai as a point of view of visiting is very good, but you never know how will it look like when you live there, because during rush hour you will never catch up the tram, the metro, and something like this. It's still stressful for young people, at least I know, to living there, because everything is very expensive, and I assume that the price in Shanghai is almost similar like the price in Berlin, even if the most people, they don't earn as much money as the people they own here in Berlin.
Yeah, and I guess like in that sense, like Shanghai isn't like really like all that different from like other big tourist cities, because even like something like Berlin, we are living like more on the outer edge of the city, not really in the city center. Of course, like the city center will have like a different. Of course, the city.
You can go on. Sorry.
Yeah. Of course, like the city center will have like a bit of a different experience, especially like also like more focused on maybe like tourist attractions, like giving like a good impression for the tourists. This is also something like I visited Paris like a couple of times when I was younger, and like of course like there are like big landmarks in Paris that everybody knows, everybody wants to visit. But if you go into like more like other sections of the city, like further away from the city center, Paris is also like a city that has like some dirty streets you don't necessarily want to visit, because like it doesn't have like this cool tourist impression on you.
But don't forget that Paris is very old city, and Shanghai is new built cities also.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe one of the reasons.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, let's talk about the third city that we visited, Xi'an.
Yeah, third, we visited Xi'an, and like one of the first impressions that I got was like if when we like left like the train station, was like, the air does seem a bit more dirty or like polluted than like in the other two cities that we were in. We left like the bus at the train station, and I saw like just in the air it was like harder to look further, if you know what I mean.
There were small particles in the air as feeling. I don't know if there were really particles, but you have the feeling that there was something in between.
Yeah, it's like I cannot like describe it really well, but it just like from the air it like smelled differently than I am used to, I guess. Yeah, just like comparing it to, for example, to like the air here in Berlin, it just felt differently. Maybe it's also like I'm not sure exactly. Maybe it's like something me as a European, like one of the more of the negative things that you maybe hear from China is like the air quality. And maybe like this had something to do in my mind, that I had like this like thought, oh hey, the air is not as good here as in Europe, for example. And then I just like convinced myself of it, that I saw more like problems with the air than there were actually were there.
Yes, I think this is very common. For the several years ago, that was a big issue for us, and people and government, we are handling with it, and also struggling with it even until now. I mean, the air pollution, it was like this, but also worse than this nowadays. It's getting always better, but there were always several days during 1 year that the air does not smell good.
Yeah.
And how about the places that we visited in Xi'an?
Well, I guess like the biggest highlight in Xi'an was actually like visiting like the mausoleum of like Emperor Qin of the. Now I'm messing up what's called the mausoleum of the Qing Empire.
Qing Dynasty.
Qing Dynasty.
Qin.
And also like just seeing like the terracotta figures was something really impressive. Again, it was like something same with like the Great Wall of China. It was like something like
typical.
No, not typical, but I was aware of the terracotta figures. I saw like pictures online of them, so I had like a sense of like, oh, okay, so this is how they look. But just like being there in person and actually seeing again like how many statues there actually are was something that I didn't expect. Like like well over like 6,000 figures standing around in the different halls, and even that, like in the like one of the bigger halls, a lot was still like covered by the earth, so there are like still a lot more underneath the earth than you would expect, and yeah, just seeing that was like really impressive.
For me, that was most impressive thing was that I mean the most figures, how you call it, the sculptures that we see now. The color is like gray or brown, but actually when people dig them out, the color was very vivid and very, very colorful and very beautiful, but the color was painted by a special material. I'm not sure, and after several hours or several minutes, the color will fall from
once it's
sculpture.
Once it came into contact with the air.
Yes, but it's not about the oxidation. It's kind of like you have the like you have a skin that the skin
peels off.
The color just gone. I think this is really a big pity for us and for the whole human being. Yes, that's also the reason why they are slowing down the whole
excavation.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I think when we visited the museum in Xi'an, we also saw like some of the terracotta figures where they had like this projector that basically like projected like the colors onto the figures how they would have been. And yeah, just from like that projection, they seemed like very colorful and vivid. And yeah, when you visit the figures like in right next to the mausoleum, you can see like they are mostly like brownish, grayish, and all the color is gone, which is sad, but still.
I mean, as a girl, as a feminist view, I would say that the color I saw on the sculpture is very, very beautiful, and it's more beautiful than all the makeup things that I bought. Either it's a normal brand or it's very expensive brand, and the colors are way better than the cosmetics that we had.
Well, maybe it's also not good to like paint on like the color that they had for the terracotta figures into your face. So
yes.
Maybe that wouldn't have been too healthy. But yeah, like in Xi'an, this was like I think like the most impressive thing that we saw. I was also happy that we had like a chance to go there, because like it's like if you think about China and like landmarks, this is like one of the first things that comes to your mind as a European, I guess.
Okay. Let me check about the time. Okay, it's already 28 minutes. So I would say we do it like two parts. This is the first part about our visiting across China in these three big cities as a tourist. And the second part that we talk about is that the life in my small town in rural China, small town with like 500,000 people. Okay, see you next part.
Bye bye.